Would you still book that dream cruise if you knew the ship was secretly one of the worst polluters on the planet? Stick around as we count down the biggest sustainability lies on cruise ships in 2026 and reveal what's really happening behind the glossy ads.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel where we cut through the marketing hype and get to the real story. Today, we're counting down the top sustainability lies cruise lines are pushing in 2026. These are the claims that sound amazing on their websites, but fall apart when you look at the facts, the fines, and the science. We'll go from number 10 down to the biggest offender at number 1. For each one, I'll explain what the lie is, why it's misleading, and why regulators or reality have essentially banned or heavily criticized the practice or claim. Let's start the countdown.
Our advanced wastewater treatment systems make us ocean-friendly. Cruise lines love showing off their fancy onboard treatment plants for black water, sewage, and gray water from showers, sinks, and kitchens. They say it exceeds shoreside standards. But here's the problem. A typical large ship with 3,000 people generates over 176,000 gallons of sewage per week. Industry-wide, that's more than 1 billion gallons of sewage dumped into oceans annually. Many lines score poorly on independent report cards because they don't publicly share performance data on how well those systems actually work. In many places, treated waste is still discharged too close to shore or contains chemicals that harm marine life. It's not banned outright, but loose enforcement and lack of transparency make the eco-friendly claim highly misleading, basically greenwashing with fancy tech that doesn't fully solve the volume problem.
We recycle almost everything on board. Zero waste to sea. They boast about recycling up to 100% of waste or turning it into energy. Sounds great, right? Reality check. An average cruise generates about 50 tons of solid waste per week. Plastics, food scraps, paper, you name it. While some waste is processed, a huge percentage, up to 90% of certain streams in studies, still ends up legally discharged at sea or sent to ports that can't always handle it properly. MARPOL rules restrict plastics and certain garbage, but enforcement varies wildly. The lie here is pretending the floating city produces almost no net waste impact. It's not fully banned, but claims of zero waste have been called out as exaggerated because the sheer volume overwhelms real recycling.
Shore power connections mean we're emission-free in port. Many ships now plug into shore power, cold ironing, so they can turn off engines while docked. Cruise lines highlight this as a major green win. But only a fraction of ports worldwide actually have the infrastructure, and not all ships use it consistently. When they can't plug in, they keep burning fuel, pumping out pollutants right next to coastal communities. It's a step forward, but advertising it as making the whole trip clean ignores the rest of the voyage. No outright ban, but the claim is misleading when it's not the norm everywhere.
Our ships are getting more fuel efficient every year. They talk about energy-efficient designs, LED lights, and better hulls reducing fuel use. Progress exists, but a single medium-sized cruise ship can still emit as much pollution as millions of cars on some metrics, and one passenger's daily carbon footprint on a cruise can be 8 times higher than a land-based vacation. Efficiency gains are often outpaced by bigger ships and more passengers. The industry pushes net zero by 2050 goals, but current improvements feel like rearranging deck chairs while the emissions keep rising overall. It's not banned, but overhyping small gains while ignoring scale is classic greenwashing.
Ballast water treatment protects marine ecosystems. Cruise ships take in and discharge huge amounts of ballast water to stay stable, which can spread invasive species. They install treatment systems to kill organisms before release. Regulations require this now, but older systems or incomplete treatment still allow risks. It's better than nothing, but claiming it fully protects ecosystems ignores ongoing biodiversity threats from cruise traffic in sensitive areas. The practice isn't banned, but ineffective claims are increasingly scrutinized.
We use low-sulfur fuel and scrubbers to clean the air. After the IMO 2020 sulfur cap, ships switched to lower sulfur fuels or installed exhaust gas cleaning systems, scrubbers. Scrubbers wash the exhaust, but then dump the acidic, toxic wastewater full of heavy metals and carcinogens directly into the ocean. In places like Alaska, this has created visible pollution plumes. Environmental groups are pushing hard for bans on open-loop scrubbers because they just move pollution from air to sea. Some ports and regions are restricting them. The claim of cleaner air is partially true, but hides massive water pollution. Regulators are cracking down, making this one of the most contested green techs. LNG-powered ships are the clean future of cruising. This one's been hit hard. LNG, liquefied natural gas, is marketed as the world's cleanest marine fuel with lower CO2 and almost no sulfur. But in 2025, the UK's Advertising Standards Authority, ASA, banned multiple cruise ads, including those for MSC Cruises and partners, for misleading claims about LNG being eco-friendly. Why? LNG is still a fossil fuel that leaks potent methane, a greenhouse gas far worse than CO2 short-term, and it doesn't solve the climate crisis. The ASA ruled the ad's exaggerated benefits without context on full environmental impact. This is one of the clearest examples of greenwashing being officially called out and banned in advertising. Our carbon offsets make every cruise carbon neutral. Many lines offer or claim offsets for your voyage. Plant a tree, fund a project, done. But offsets are controversial. They're often ineffective, hard to verify, and don't reduce the actual emissions from burning massive amounts of fuel at sea. A ship can use tens of thousands of gallons of fuel daily. Offsets feel like paying penance without changing behavior. No ban yet, but consumer watchdogs and reports increasingly label heavy reliance on offsets as greenwashing because the core pollution continues.
Cruise ships have minimal impact on ports and local environments. They promote tourism benefits while downplaying over-tourism, air, noise pollution, and waste strain on small ports. In 2026, more destinations are imposing limits, fees, or outright restrictions on cruise ships due to environmental damage and overcrowding. Ships bring thousands of people at once, overwhelming infrastructure and ecosystems. The minimal impact narrative is crumbling as ports push back. Some bans and caps are already in effect for 2026 itineraries. It's not a shipboard ban, but the claim is increasingly exposed as false by local protests and regulations.
We're committed to net zero emissions by 2050. Trust our green journey. The biggest lie of all. The industry talks a big game about net zero goals aligned with IMO targets, advanced fuels, and sustainability reports. Yet Friends of the Earth and other groups give most major lines poor scores on air emissions, sewage, and transparency. Real progress is slow, enforcement gaps are huge, and greenwashing ads keep getting banned. Ships still rely heavily on fossil fuels, discharge pollution, and the scale of operations grows faster than solutions. In 2026, with new IMO discussions and regional rules tightening, the gap between marketing and reality has never been wider. This overarching "we're going green" promise feels hollow when the daily operations tell a different story. Whew, that's the countdown. From fancy treatment systems that don't fully handle the volume to LNG claims officially ruled misleading, the sustainability story on cruise ships in 2026 is full of half-truths and clever marketing.
So there you have it, the biggest sustainability lies on cruise ships exposed. The industry is making some real technological strides, but far too often the glossy, eco-friendly ads outpace the actual environmental performance. As passengers, we have power. Ask tough questions. Check independent report cards like Friends of the Earth's cruise ship report card. Support lines that show real transparency. And consider the full impact before booking. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more exposures on Tyval greenwashing, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Have you been on a cruise? Did the green claims convince you, or do you now see through them? Share your experiences below. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and I'll see you in the next video. Safe travels, on land or sea, but always with eyes wide open.